Are you planning to bring a loved one to the United States? A spouse, a parent, a sibling? If you are, stay tuned to learn the critical steps of the I-130 petition, the foundation of your petition. Hi everyone, I'm attorney Yael Brudner, and today I want to talk about one of the most critical stages in your green card process, which is the I-130 form. We will talk about what the I-130 form is, who can file an I-130, what are the required evidence for this form, what the processing times are, and what are the possible outcomes. If you are new to our channel, please like, subscribe, so you can learn more about our great immigration content that we talk about here. Okay, so let's just dive in. So, what is Form I-130? Form I-130 is used to establish the familial relationship between a petitioner and a beneficiary. A petitioner is the person that is asking for the family member to be able to immigrate. It's usually the US citizen or lawful permanent resident, and the beneficiary is going to be that family member, which is the spouse, the sibling, the child, the parent. And it is a crucial part of the immigration process because without it, your family member would not be able to immigrate to the United States. And if you are thinking about immigrating or bringing a family member over, you probably started to Google, you probably saw the I-130 form come up everywhere. So it is extremely important. It's important to know how to fill out this application and really what is required with it. First of all, let's discuss who can file an I-130. So to file an I-130, you have to be eligible to be a petitioner, and that is either a US citizen or a lawful permanent resident. And some important information about that: it doesn't matter if you were born in the United States or naturalized, you can qualify to be a petitioner. And if you're a resident, it actually does not matter how long you've been a resident for, and you can get your green card and the very next day file a petition for your family member. Okay. Now, there are different categories of petitions. Not every petition is kind of alike. We have the immediate family member petitions, and we have preference categories. Immediate family members are family members of a US citizen, specifically spouse, parent, or minor child, and preference categories are everyone else. And it's important later to understand the processing times to kind of distinguish between these two different types of categories of petitions. So what do you need to file the I-130? What are the required documents? So it's very important first to prove the status of the petitioner, right? That the petitioner can actually petition. So the petitioner would have to prove that they are either a US citizen or a lawful permanent resident, okay? And then the petitioner would have to prove the relationship between him or her and the beneficiary. So if it's a marriage case, you would have to show proof of the marriage, proof of a real and bona fide marriage. Okay, and if you're following me for a while, you can see I talk a lot about how to prove that. Okay, but if it's a parent petition, you would have to show that you are indeed a parent and the petitioner, the beneficiary is your child. If you are petitioning for a sibling, you would have to show that you have at least one family, a parent in common. And you get the gist of it, right? So I-130, you have to show that you are eligible to petition as a petitioner and that the family relationship exists. Processing times, how long does it take to get an I-130 approved? Processing times is probably the hardest question that an immigration attorney gets because it really depends and it changes and it's not predictable or reliable. So processing times will change depending on what the petition is. So if you're petitioning a spouse, it's different than if you're petitioning a child or a parent. If you're petitioning an immediate relative, it's different than a petition to a preference category. So a further petition like a sibling petition. It can take anywhere from 6 months to 3 years to get an I-130 approved, which I know isn't helpful, but really, really depends on the circumstances. Okay, so I-130, remember, this is the foundation of your green card application. This is the basis of your family member applying. But it's important to remember, it is not the actual green card. So when you file an I-130, if your I-130 is approved, it is not that your relative has a green card or can immigrate to the United States. Your family member needs to now ask for the green card. needs to apply for the green card. So if your I-130 is approved, then the next step would be for your family member to ask to immigrate to the United States. So if your family member is in a different country, if they're abroad, they would be filing for something called an immigrant visa. And if your family member is in the United States and there is a green card available for them, right? If they're, for example, immediate relative category, then they could file for something called adjustment of status, which is basically a fancy term to applying for the green card in the United States. Okay, so remember, I-130, crucial part of your immigration journey, but it's only the first step. Possible outcomes for an I-130 are approval, or possibly, which is the best case scenario, of course, or you might receive a request for evidence if you didn't submit the crucial evidence that's required, or denial if immigration determines that either you are not qualified as a petitioner, or that family membership, that family relationship does not exist. Folks, I hope this was beneficial. I hope you learned a little bit more about the I-130. If you want to learn more about immigration, then subscribe to our page and follow us for more. And if you want to get some specific immigration advice, feel free to reach out to us. We're here to help.